Today is getting ready to be spicy. So I was going back and forth with this title, okay? And I'm just gonna do it. You're either pimping or you're hoeing. My Tycoons, this is Patrick Tycoon Jones. First and foremost, I want to say thank you very much for interacting in the comments page, for sharing this to other tycoons who need this knowledge, who need to actually soak up this game. It's extremely important that we do that. We are on a quest to become better, and I'm on a quest to empower each and every one of you. Today is getting ready to be spicy. So I was going back and forth with this title, okay? And I'm just gonna do it. You're either pimping or you're hoeing. So what does that actually mean to me? I don't mean it in the sense of literally doing that. I mean, you're either building your dream or you're building someone else's, point blank and period. So let's break that down. Well, after college, if you even go to college, right? You're on a quest to go get a job. Our parents, my parents, you know, everyone around you wants you to go out there, get a good job so you can get in a comfortable situation, so you can build your family. You get the house with the white picket fence and the little dog, and that's life. So what happens when you get it, folks? Are you fulfilled? That's the question, right? And that's the question you actually need to ask yourself before you go on a quest of either building someone else's dream and getting the job, or going out and being an entrepreneur in building your dream and being fulfilled in the long run. Not all of us tycoons are the same. And I do want to say this is not a knock to corporate world or corporate America, because I love it, right? I love corporate America. However, this is to help you sort out your thoughts, right? Because not everyone goes into the corporate environment and it's actually conducive to who they are, right? And if it's not conducive to who you are, then what will happen is you will see your growth truncated. And that's what you don't want to see, right? You don't want to hit a ceiling. So if you do go the corporate path, then the one thing that you should think about going into it is, all right, I'm starting at this point, right? How do I get to be the CEO of the company, right? Because that's where you're making real good money. And if the CEO is not something that you want, how do I become the VP? How do I become the director, right? And then how do I become that person that is the boss within the organization, right? How do I lead people? Because that's where you're really gonna make good money, okay? So folks, think about this. After you exit college, or when you're building your strategy as it relates to, okay, this is how I'm gonna earn a living, figure out if you want to build your dream or if you wanna go be an employee and build someone else's dream, because they are drastically different paths. And now here's another thing, and we'll talk about it a little bit later in the video. There's nothing wrong with doing both at the same time. So that leads me to work your 9 to 5 and your side hustle equally, right? So for those of you who's like, you know what, I'm going to enter the corporate world and do exactly what I did, enter the corporate world, and you know, I kicked the doors down, making good money. I didn't start off kicking the doors down, making good money, but you kick the doors down, you make good money, you go up the ladder, okay? And then when you go up the ladder, you're like, you know what? I can expand, right? 100% of me and my effort and the time that I'm gonna put forth allows me to do other things. And there's nothing wrong with that. So now if that's the path that you take, okay, now you need to figure out what your side hustle is and what you are good at and what you can actually bring to the marketplace in order to monetize on it. Because if you're not monetizing, then you're not doing anything, right? You're just talking, you're wasting time. And then I would tell you, if that's the case, just go work your 9 to 5 and kill it. Okay, and figure out a new revenue stream that you can bring to your 9 to 5 and partner with that organization and or that entity. And if you do that, then guess what? Now you're being paid as if you're a partner and not just an employee. So there's different avenues and different paths that you can take within the 9 to 5 to maximize that, right? Not just be the employee if you have that entrepreneurial spirit, okay? Like most of my tycoons have, okay? So again, when you first start, it may bring in money sporadically, right? You may, close a deal your first 90 days and then you don't see anything else for the next 120 days. But that's the sacrifice, right? You have to work that, like you work your 9 to 5. So if you're putting in 8 hours in your 9 to 5, you better be putting in 8 hours in your side hustle. Because eventually what's going to end up happening is your 9 to 5 is going to be here from a revenue perspective. And then your side hustle is going to be here. But as time progresses, slowly, you will see them break even. And then if you have a go-to-market strategy, if you're adding employees, next thing you know, your side hustle will become your primary hustle. And then the 9 to 5 will go to the wayside. So it's all about how you're going to work and make sure that you plan your work and work your plan effectively, okay? So think about that. Those of you who are in college that are listening to me, that's something that you should actually think about. And when you think about, put your thoughts on paper to how you're going to maximize your time. And then once you have your thoughts on paper, make sure you do not negate and or renege from your plan, okay? Because then you'll have this vision of yourself and where you should be in 3 to 5 years. And if you renege from your plan or you're not putting in equal time because you're like, you know what? I want to spend time with a boyfriend, or you know what? I want to spend time with a girlfriend. Then guess what? 3 to 5 years later, you're not going to be where you want to be, okay? And is that something that you want to do? That's something that you have to ask yourself. I can't answer it for you, okay? Next, don't live another day with regret by not acting on your dreams, okay? And regret can come in many different forms. Regret can be, you know what, I should have went to college, or I had a couple more credits, I should have finished it. That's a little bit of regret, okay? Or, you know what, I should have got this 9 to 5 job because that's what my gut was telling me, but instead I went out and decided to build a company, but guess what? I failed at that, right? But again, when I say fail, it's not failing, you're learning a lesson. There's no such thing in the Tycoon language as failure. It's learning a lesson, okay? So this is what I say about the corporate world. Why not go get a job, right? Get a 9 to 5, and now you have a high paid internship, right? To teach you the game of business, of ethics, okay? Of what it takes to actually be in business. And then heck, who knows? You'll get into management, and then management will teach you how to treat your own employees, and you're getting paid handsomely the whole time through it. And then you launch your side hustle, and then you launch your company, right, on the side. But guess what? Now you have all of these fundamental learning blocks that you can add to your arsenal. And now you have all these different tools, these sharp tools in the toolbox that you can use that will put you that much more ahead once you launch your company, okay? Or you can just go out there and launch your company and learn your lessons along the way, right? There's no right and or wrong answer in this. It's just what works best for you, your situation. You know, some of you may have kids, right? And you don't have a significant other or the father and or mother of the child to help and or assist. Well, you may need to go down a path where you can earn income immediately, so that 9 to 5 may make sense. Some of you may have a nice little nest egg, right? You don't have any kids. You're actually rent's low because you're going in rent with a couple of your buddies or a couple of your girlfriends. So it allows you to go out there and be a bit more courageous and launch your company, right? So it depends on your situation, but no matter what you choose, it's not the wrong answer, okay? Next, all gas, no brakes. So in your early years after college, in your early 20s, there's no reason for you to have any breaks, okay? So what I mean by that is you gotta go 110% in, relentless. It's all about your hustle, and your hustle needs to remain consistent, because if it doesn't remain consistent, then your money's gonna fall by the wayside. In addition to that, you're young. So if you're in your 20s, utilize your 20s. You know, I have a video, if you go back, it says why I sacrificed my 20s. Would I ever do anything different? Absolutely not. I wouldn't do a thing different because I did not miss out on anything. After all, you think about it in your 20s. If you're gonna go out and have a good time, well, the vacations that you can take are limited because your money's limited. If you like to go out and eat good food, well, the restaurants that you can frequent are limited because your money's limited. Or if you want to take your girlfriend and or your boyfriend out on a date, well, the date is limited and or the dining is limited because your money's limited. So what are you really missing out on? Okay, maybe a couple of raves, maybe going out to the club and getting drunk and having a hangover the next day. Okay, yeah, you missed out on that. I missed out on that. But am I or are you really missing out on anything? No, the answer is no. So go on, all gas, no brakes, go 110% in pursuit of your dreams, your goals, your aspirations, okay, your desires, and build your company and or go out there and, you know, get a job in the 9-to-5 corporate America and kill it there until you can spread your wings and you can fly. But that's my advice to you. And the reason why I give you that advice is because I did that. And you know what? I appreciate myself for doing that because why? Because I didn't lose out on anything and it helped catapult my career, my earning potential, the things that I could do, the places that I could frequent, the country clubs that I'm now a part of, right? The assets that I now have, so on and so forth. It catapulted that. Then if it wasn't for that, then in my 30s, which I'm in my 30s now, guess what? I would be trying to catch up. Well, that's not the case, okay? So he or she who takes the biggest risk wins. Always, and I say always, be the boss. So what does that mean? That means if you're going out in pursuit of building your company, you're the boss. But that means you're taking on greater risk as well, okay? So if you take on greater risk and you actually strike gold, guess what that does for you? That puts you on a whole different level. That gets you out of middle class into the 1% lane, right? You're now earning income. You can now expand your vacations. You can now sit in first class. You can now, you know, sip the finest wines. You can now go out and get, you know, the finest threads if that's what you're into. You can now go and do whatever it is that you want to do, okay? Because you took that risk. But this is one thing you have to understand. There's going to be sacrifices. The sacrifices are going to be extensive and great, okay? Not everyone can do it. There's going to be heartache. There's going to be times where you question yourself, your abilities, okay? There's going to be times where you question, am I doing the right thing, okay? You know, you may have issues in your relationships, okay, that you're in. That's going to be hard to deal with, okay? All of that comes with the territory of going out there, being a tycoon, going out there and being great. You know, I once had someone tell me that you can't have it all, okay? And I didn't understand that because it was a period of my life where I was questioning myself. And they tell me, you can't go out and have great success and have a good relationship as well. And I had to think about that for a minute because I had to consider the source. And then I also had to think about my values. And my core values say this, just the opposite. I do believe you can have it all. I do believe that if you're in a relationship, you and your partner, if there's great communication and everyone is on the same page and everyone is climbing to the same place together, you can have it all, okay? See, what happens in life is there's a lot of people that will project their failures on you and tell you what all of a sudden your limitations are, And if you're not strong, you believe it. Okay? So just keep in mind that comes with the territory. Never second guess yourself. And I was also talking to another motivator. And the motivator, he motivated me, actually. And I'm gonna have him on the show. You guys need to hear his story. His story is phenomenal. But he also said that, you know, he or she who projects themselves on you tells the story of their mental state more so than it tells the story of your mental state. And no one's gonna understand your dream. It's not for people to understand your dream. And the sooner that you realize that, the better you will be. And the sooner that I realize that, the better that I will be. And I actually realized that later in life, later in my 30s. My dream is so big, right? What I want to do, the people that I want to impact, the people that I'm going to impact, the things that I am doing, it's so extensive. Not everyone will understand it, right? And that is okay. I need and you need to learn how to love people where they are. Meet them where they're at, right? Not where you think they should be. So just keep that in mind as well. But you have to take the risk, folks, because when you're on death's door, okay, because we all have an expiration date, and this is a rule that I live by, when I'm on death's door, I don't want to look back and have any regret whatsoever. So that means you have to constantly be learning. You have to constantly modify your approach. But moreover, what that means is you have to take the risk when it's time for you to take. And you'll know because you'll get that burning desire in your stomach, that burning desire in your chest, okay? That burning desire in your brain. That voice will be talking to you saying, it's time, go. Right? And then if you ask the universe for affirmation, you'll get your affirmation as well. Folks, I remember I was walking past this gentleman, and this was in Cincinnati. I was in the airport, and as I was walking past, I was going to a business meeting, so I was suited and booted. He was a shoe shiner, okay? And he was probably in his late 60s, maybe early 70s. And him and I looked at each other, and I noticed him looking at me, right? And I didn't think anything of it. But my path actually took me past him, but then brought me back. And then he was looking at me, and I stopped. Because I just, hello, me being me. And he, in our conversation, he said, you know, I saw you, and you had this positive aura. And I saw the younger version of me in you. And I said, oh, okay. And then I didn't really know where this is going. But at the end of the conversation, it was meant for me to talk to him. Because what he had told me is, it's time, son, for you now to go out and do exactly what it is that you were going to do. Because he had a thought, something was talking to him and said that I was going to go out and achieve great things, but I need to stop waiting. I need to go out and do it. And I actually took a picture with that gentleman, okay? And I'm going to find that picture, and I'm going to post it in the thumbnail. So you'll understand that man motivated me to go out and be great, and to stop wasting time, and to catapult myself forward, and to go out and do it, okay? So you'll get affirmations along the way, but you got to take the risk. Next, you never get what you're worth. You get what you negotiate unless you're the boss. Now, what does that mean? So if you're in a 9-to-5, just understand, and don't take this personal because it's business. No one's going to go out there and say you think that you should get a $250K salary. Let's just say. No one's going to give you that, right? You have to bring in the value. And if you're not bringing the value, no one's going to give you the benefit of the doubt in the corporate world, okay? They're going to give you what people in your job, with your title, in your geographic area make. That's it. No more, no less. Unless you're able to negotiate because you have additional skills, okay, that puts you in a scenario where you should actually get paid more. Unless that's the case, You're going to get paid what everyone else with your title is doing, unless you're the boss, folks. Now, if you are the boss, then you can write your own ticket. But you also need to understand this. It typically takes people, meaning bosses, 2 to 5 years to really get their stride and be making the type of money that they feel as though that they should make. So what does that mean? You're going to have to sacrifice for 2 to 5 years. Hey, look, your time frame may be shorter, and it means that, you know what? I started making good money my first year, first 12 months. That's actually unheard of, but it could happen, okay? In your second year, you're going to make a little bit more. Your third year, you're going to make a little bit more. And by your fourth year, you should be hitting your stride. You should be living the lifestyle that you've always promised yourself, okay? And if you're not, it may take a little bit more time, or you need to think about your strategy, okay? That's what that may mean. So if you're the boss, you're still going to have to sacrifice. You're still going to have to pinch pennies a little bit, right? Because you're building something. You're building a brand. It's no different than you just starting off entry level in the corporate world, okay? You're going to be pinching pennies. Especially with inflation, things of that nature, you're going to be pinching pennies until you become the boss. So understand that as well. So no matter where you start, it's going to feel like the same thing, okay? Because you're going to be entry level in the corporate world, and you're building a brand from zero if you're going out and you're going to be the boss. So either way you look at it, you're going to struggle a little bit. So it's either A or B. You're building someone else's dream, or you're building your dream, okay? Next, folks, if you go out and you decide to be an entrepreneur, I'll tell you this right now, it's better to lose or learn lessons 100 times and then strike gold once. Because the one thing that you need is you need to be right one time when the market desires what it is that you're bringing to the table, and then you strike gold, period. You don't need to be right 100 times, right? Because to be wealthy, to be rich, you only need it to be one time. So why do I say that? I say that because there's a lot of people that I talk to that feel as though they're too old to start a business or to strike out and be an entrepreneur. Or there's a lot of people that feel as though, you know what, I'll never be that person. Well, I'll tell you this right now. I've had many different businesses. I've had many different learning lessons. And, you know, I've had my significant other at the time tell me, you know, you started all these businesses and only a couple of them have actually made money. Well, the reality is this. When you're an entrepreneur, there's many things you may try, but when you strike gold, you'll know it. Everyone around you will know it. They'll see it, okay? It's inevitable. So again, there's gonna be naysayers along the way. It may even be your significant other. It may even be your husband. It may even be your wife. But I'm here to tell you that you only need to be right one time. And if you go out and you build these companies and these businesses and it doesn't go the way you want it to, just understand that's a lesson. And that's a lesson that you get to add to the next company, okay, or the next thing you try. And then guess what? Once you strike gold, the whole world will know it. And the naysayers who doubted you, they'll know it too, okay? So just keep that in mind. Next, always focus on leveling up. Never, and I mean never, be satisfied. I live by that. Everything that I tell you, I live by. But if you're in the 9 to 5, the corporate game, you definitely should be focused on leveling up. If you're entry level, you should say, okay, how do I get to the next level? Okay? If you're at the next level and you're not entry level, you should be thinking about, okay, how do I get to be the manager? Then how do I get to be the director? Then what does it take to be the VP? Okay? What is it? Is it education? Is it a certain amount of time and tenure within the organization? How can you fast track your success? That's what you should be focusing on. And never, I mean, never be satisfied. Now, If you're in a situation to where, your health says you have to be satisfied, well, figure out how to push the envelope from there. The point is, never be satisfied in your current state. Because if you do fall into that comfort zone, then you're not growing, okay? And the one thing that I always said, and this is a learning lesson that I've had here within the past, I would say month. You have to go through it and you have to grow through it. So at the end of the day, when you're leveling up, it's going to be painful. It's going to be uncomfortable. Nipsey Hussle said it. It's not meant to be comfortable. It's meant to push you. It's meant to push you mentally, physically, emotionally, especially emotionally, because you have to grow. Because if you're going to the next level, it's going to require a new version of you. What does that mean? That means that you're going to have to recreate yourself. And that means you may have to go out there and get a certificate. It means you may have to go out there and get a degree, an MBA, or it may mean that you have to throw away your old life in order to get the new life that you want. But whatever it is, it's going to be uncomfortable as hell. So you're going to have to swallow that pill, and you're going to have to go through it mentally, physically, emotionally, and you're going to have to grow through it mentally, physically, emotionally. Okay, Tycoons? So I want to say thank you for joining. Thank you for listening to the entire video. Please like, subscribe. But moreover, I would love for you to come to my Instagram channel. That's Patrick Tycoon Jones. And follow me. I'll follow you back. And let's lock in, okay? And as you know, I always say this. Lock in with me because you know I'm locked in with you. Until we meet again, Tycoons, take care.